just restarted, so anybody that was in here got lost. I had a huge amount of drop frames, and I ended up going up and resetting my problem was I was hooked to the router in the house and not to the Wi-Fi extender. And I had to go reset the extender out in the garage. Because the Wi-Fi in the house is too far away to work out here in the blacksmith shop. Alright, now we're just going to drive that down. Like I said, now it's a little bit wider because I smushed it. Now I should be able to grip it right down onto that. Maybe. But you can see that's going to be the end that's holding the soapstone. Oh, you just woke up. Yeah, I just, like I said, I was streaming, and then Tim said I kept dropping out, and I looked down and I had like 65% drop frames. So I went and reset because it was hooked to my router in the house and not the extender out in the garage. Now I have literally 0% drop frames, which normally I think the most I've ever had when it was hooked to the right one was maybe 2%. Yeah, we put it right in this corner. That'll help. Everything's starting to get a little warm. I'm trying to hold this piece and hold the spacer, the jig. Now it's tight, so it's not going to fit again. Alright, maybe I can clamp it here and give it a little tweak that way. Problem is everything's falling over to this side on me. Well, that helps. Definitely. Now I can pull it out, look at it. Cool it down. And look and see if my piece of soapstone fits it now. And it still isn't going to the bottom. So I think that what I may end up doing is just, instead of using the 3/16 bar, just use a 1/4 inch, make it a little wider, let the soapstone sit in there a little bit looser. I do have a 1/4 inch bar right here. Alright, let's try that. Try fixing this mess up. Alright. Morning. Hey Tim, well now I've got 1.2% drop frames. Before I had 65% when you said that you kept getting losing me. That was the first I looked at it. I had like 65% drop frames and I was like, oh, no wonder. Alright, put it in that corner to get it started in there. Alright, you can see I got that in there. What I'm trying to do right now is just drive it down all the way to the bottom. Might be better off just doing it like this. Getting it to the bottom and then starting from there. I never really had this problem before, but I never tried to get it that tight on the stone either. I always just used 1/4 inch and it worked. Of course, this time I had decided I wanted it to be a real tight fit, and well, that backfired on me. Alright, now I got it out to 1/4 inch. I know the soapstone's going to fit with these, but to be honest with you, the only part that was really not fitting was at the very bottom, so I may close it up onto that now that I got the bottom kind of square down in the bottom and a little wider. Alright, let's try this again. Go back to this one, tip it. Alright, let's see. Still open a little too much. So, I guess I'm going to just do it by hand. You know, I should have just left it because it was a little bit off, but it wasn't really bad. I should have just left it because now I'm just making it out of balance and pushing more material to one side. I had them nice and even, but you can see now one side is up a little higher than the other. But you can see there's your end that's going to hold your soapstone. Alright, I'm going to chop this bad boy off and we're moving on. So I need to chop it off. Like I said, I'm going to leave 4.5, 5 inches. Drop frames is 0.6%, which is way better than 65%. So, let's see, what are you making now? What's your latest project? Push it in a little bit farther. I might need a pair of tongs just to hold that on the other end because it's getting pretty hot. Alright, so we're just going to cut it off. Then on the other end, I think I'm going to try to do a small penny scroll. Coping saw. Alright. Alright, so let me cut this off. I want to make sure I got enough. And I can burn up whatever's extra, make it scroll. So that looks good. Like I said, I'm not doing it over a jig, so however, I don't have to go to a certain size to fit the jig. Which was one of the other things that Brian had pointed out, and he was telling everybody, hey, you know, you don't have to go exactly to fit his jig. You needed, I want to say 10.5 inches. But he also stated that, hey, if you're not trying to fit it to my jig, then you don't have to worry about the 10.5 inches. And, you know, I've made a few of these, and I've never made two the same, and I wing them, and I spent too much time playing with that fiddly bit end. So I can cut jump rings for jewelry. Okay, gonna start making jewelry. Get some quartz crystals and put them in your jewelry. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just bring that, yeah, those tongs aren't going to work. Not for what I need. At least not holding it that way. Let's try this. Just flattening off the end where I made the cut, but I lost a bunch of heat because it flipped out of the tongs on me. I may have to put a convenience bend in and then straighten it back out later so that I can grip onto it with the tongs and set that piece that holds the soapstone out of the way for right now. Let's see what happens here. How much of a hard time it gives me. So I'm going to set down and leave some material there. See, I've left some material there. I'm going to spin this around. I'm actually going to take the piece and bend it out of my way a little bit so that I can deal with it a little. Manipulate it, hold it easier. And then I'm going to switch to my good hammer too. See what I did is just bent that. I bent that up out of the way. Now I can bring my tongs in and grab on up in here where I can get a real good grip on it and turn it easily. That's just called a convenience bend. You just bend it out of your way, and then later on you're going to put it back there where it was. But for now, we're going to bend it out of the way and go ahead and work drawing out that piece and making the little penny, to make a little penny scroll, I guess. I may have left way more than I need for a penny scroll on something this size. But but I can always squeeze it down and make it smaller. So that's not a big deal. You can see I've left some material. I'm trying to get a nice sharp corner, a square edge. And then I'll form my penny. And then just draw out a bunch in between the two ends, bend it around the shape I want, and then kind of make a scroll just to burn up some extra at the end. And just keep working it, and you can turn that squared up piece right into a nice round head. So we're working on it. We got to take another heat. And we're making our little penny. Some guys got a tool they drop into their hardy, so they can get up and work right close to that edge. I may get mine out. I gotta find it. Not really sure where it is. I'm looking where it belongs and it's not there, so. What I may end up doing is draw some material out first. No, I don't want to do that because then it'll start to get too floppy on the. You don't want to go where it's sharp. We're just working on that penny, trying to get that stem really small going into it. In doing that, I matched it up and I'll go back and re-round it. Not the end of the world. Oh man, 1.3. Yeah, all right. I'm at 1.3 drop frames. I can live with that for sure all day long. Okay, I got a hit right here. This is way more than it should be. I mean, I got it to where if I look at it from this side, it looks good, and then I flip it, and this side is way out. So that means that I'm hitting at an angle. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start drawing out in between. I'm going to leave that for right now. Come back to it. Yeah, one side it looks good on, and the next side, from the other side, it doesn't look right. And I've got a tool that lets you get right up into it to make them penny scrolls look right. It just goes in a hardy hole, and it's just kind of. This is one that didn't work, but it's kind of like this one. That one might work. Maybe I'll try it. But it allows you to work right up into that. Starting to get there. It helped a little bit because it holds it, and I can hit right in that corner where I couldn't hit before. Alright, I'm going to heat it up and start drawing all that out. Did I need a penny scroll? No, I didn't. Will it work without a penny scroll? Absolutely. Alright, so now I'm going to start drawing it out. I don't have a whole lot to hold on, so I'm probably not going to go over the edge and draw on the corner, like, you know, here, and drive it into the corner. I'll probably leave it up on a flat and just tip my hammer where I need to. Hold it, get a good grip. So you see, we're drawing down, we're getting there. At some point, I also have to turn the penny 90 degrees. And I want to do that while it's still pretty chunky before I get it down real small, so that I can take the twist out when I finish it. Let me get a couple heats in here, and then I'll make that adjustment. So you can see I'm drawing that down. You can see it's still chunky. It's way fatter and way thicker. So now is going to be a good time to do that quarter bend and then make it disappear. Hey Kevin, were you in here? No, you weren't in here earlier. Alright, and I've only got to twist it a quarter, but I have to go a quarter the right way, and that was not it, that was the wrong way. So I got a quarter twist just to put that in the same plane as that, because if you remember, the bar was wider and it spread out that way, but then on the penny scroll it left the penny scroll on one side, so you have to twist it to put it in the right orientation. Now that I got it twisted, I can go in there, hammer that down, and make that whole twist disappear, because I've got a lot of material there that's still got to move. Like I said, this was one of the guys in our group, in our regional meeting, monthly meeting, did this as a demonstration. His didn't have the penny scroll, but yeah, honestly I figured this project would probably be done by now, but it's kind of dragging, and I had to fight with the other end, and I shouldn't have had to. What I need to do is make a piece that's a little wider than 3/16 and a little narrower than 1/4 inch. Or, yeah. Alright, so now I can turn that You can see where I put that twist. You can't even see it anymore. It's gone. Which is why you put the twist in while you still have a lot of material. Most people won't have to do that because they wouldn't put this end down there. But then I'm going to draw out that center so it's like 1 foot long. All right. I'm not going over the edge now, especially because it's getting small. If I go over the edge to draw, I'm going to run the risk of putting a real big dent in it that I don't want. But you can see now I'm starting to draw it down. It's tapered. The twist is completely gone. You can't even see it anymore. I want my finish size to be about 3/16 square. So now what you'll see me do is I'll work a section and get that section to the right size, and then move it in, do the next section, move it in, do the next section, instead of trying to do the whole thing at once. All right, so you can see I've only worked there. You can see right there how much I've driven that down. And I'm just working that section till I get that section the right size and straight and even pretty much before I move to the next section. I was watching a new guy today, and I kept trying to tell him that. Don't just hammer down the whole length of the bar. only hit where you need to. And I kind of explained it a few different ways, and finally he got the hang of what I was saying, and then he applied it. So you can see, now I've got that much done. And I'm trying to bring it down evenly. And this end of that much is still wider, so I'm going to work there and then go a little bit over on the next heat. Just keep gradually working my way along that bar. And stretch it out until I've got about a foot, I guess. Probably should. Mark out a foot. This is the hardest part for people too, is getting this long chunk nice and even, because when you go to bend it later, if you got thicks and thins, it doesn't bend evenly. You know, the thinner parts want to bend more than the others. You can see I've got it down. You can see how much I'm knocking down. I purposely left a big shoulder there so you can see how much it was actually moving. So that you know, and it doesn't just look like I'm standing there doing absolutely nothing. And I didn't take it in a lot, maybe 1/8 of an inch from where the last spot was. And when I go up a little bit farther, it's a little beefier, so that spot I might go in 3/16 or even 1/4 inch. But it'll hold the heat a little longer, so it'll go just as fast. And then I'll check my length, and if I need more length, then I'll go down a little smaller the whole length of it until I get my length. So you can see, there's my shoulder, and I'm just working it back till I get there. And I'm looking, and I figure I've got about half the bar there, and maybe a little more than half, and I'm going to be a little short, so I'm going to have to go back in the end and go a little more. A little smaller over the whole length, but if I go too much now, I'll end up way too long. So it's better to just work it in small pieces. If you don't, I didn't start with a certain amount of stock and know that I'm going to start with this much stock, I'm going to draw it out this long, and I'm going to end with this much if it's that size. I just guessed. And I'm guessing that I want about a foot long once it's squared up nice. Then I'll go back and knock the edges off the square so that it's not a sharp corners. And that'll give me a little bit more length too. But yeah, I was expecting this to be done by now. All right. See the shoulder, and just keep pinching off and working down. The next couple times I probably won't even show you the shoulder so that I can get it in and out of the heat faster and I'm not losing heat showing you. But yeah, you know, you can't stress enough to the new guys that they take their time and make that nice and even, and take that couple extra minutes when they go to make their bend is going to curve naturally and not be full of little kinks and stuff. But we were all new at one time, so we know what it's like. And you just want to move on. Alright, I got one more heat and then I got to go back and start at one end or the other and go a little smaller yet. And start working my way back because I'm not going to have my 12 inches yet. And 12 inches is just a guess. His was 10 and a half. But I want to have a little extra so that I can burn up some on the, you know, when I'm doing the scroll. Okay, I'm probably 11 inches now. So, by the time I work back down that, and I'm just going to work back down it, back and forth, kind of trying to go easy. Instead of doing a big volume change, I'm going to do a gradual one the whole length. And then knock my corners off, and by the time I do that, it should be pretty close to where I need it lengthwise. Or I should say where I want it. Because I don't know if I need that much. I'm just guessing. So now, I'll flip it and do the other end because that just gave me almost half an inch. So at this point I just need maybe about a half an inch off the other end and then I can start knocking off the corners and it'll be right about the length I want. What length? What are we looking at here, Kevin? Are you sending him to somebody that's entertaining and fun to watch, or, you know, I mean, I wouldn't really blame you. Alright. A little wider right here in this area. So that definitely gives me something to play with. Just about there. By the time I knock the corners off, that'll stretch it a little bit more. And I should be right about there. Oh, an Elvis jeweler stuff. Okay. Well, send me that link. Alright, now I'm just knocking the corners off so I don't have, because I'm leaving really sharp corners when I do it, because they're pretty, my hammer blows are pretty flat where they belong. I could go back and round the whole thing, but I don't think I'm gonna. I think I'm just gonna knock the corners in. Leave it like 8-sided octagon-ish. It's not too great because it's not perfectly flat, but to be honest with you, I have a hard time seeing it in flash when they're small, even with the glasses. I should be wearing my other glasses, the prescription glasses, but these are just readers, which help me see things a little farther away. My other ones are bifocals with transition lenses, so if I was wearing those, it would I'd be able to see it a little more. But then again, it may or may not help me. Alright, so I'm all the way to there. I'm going to flip the ends. Sent the link. Alright. Who's Jeff? Oh, Jeff Killian. I didn't even see when he popped in. I've been too busy. Jeff, I'm making a soapstone holder, nothing really fancy. Just goofing around. We did, when a local region had their meeting today, and the guy did a soapstone holder, so I decided that gives me an idea for what I'm going to do tonight. I'll come home and make a soapstone holder. Whoa! Oh, I burned it right off. I was talking. Wasn't paying attention. Darn it. What time is it? 7:25. Oh, wow. Wow. Man. Alright. No. Not the end of the world. I think, what did I do with the piece that I cut off? Still got some sparks coming out of my fire because that piece is in there somewhere. Alright, let's try that again. As soon as I find the piece that I cut off. Yeah, right here. I'll just start on this piece. We'll go a little faster this time. Chalk tongs class. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that too, where you make tongs and then you put a little thing on them and you clamp a piece of chalk in them. A little miniature pair of tongs. Alright, let's do this again. First thing we do is we're going to tuck in the corners. And so that when we taper it down and round it off, we don't get fish mouths. Although I didn't see where this was tapered down enough to produce a fish mouth, but he made it a point to show it. So, all right, so we'll taper it down. So we don't get fish mouths. Now we're gonna draw it down a little bit. I'm not gonna draw it down too much. So you can see I got it drawn down. I'm trying to maintain my same thickness, 3/16 at the same time. A lot of you guys, they hit 100 times here and they don't ever lay it flat like that. And then they end up really wide and fat, and then they're fighting it later. Alright, so next we're going to put in our step down, which you can use a guillotine tool. I'm just going to use the edge of the anvil. I'm coming back, I don't know, 1.5 inches probably. Okay. You can see I got it started. I'll get back in so that I can keep this going faster. You can see I'm starting to get my neck down there. I'm going to take that down almost to my finished size. I'm going to go to like maybe 1/4 inch square in that area. My finished size will be 3/16, but I'll go right to 1/4 inch square before I start working out behind it too much. kind of defeating the purpose by hammering it back there, but I'm trying to get these shoulders even. If you were using the guillotine tool, you just put it in there and take a few hits and flatten it out, then put it back in the other way and take a few hits. Just keep flipping it. This requires you to bring your hammer down at the same spot every time and not hit the shoulder. So it gets a little bit more difficult, but I can fix it sometimes by just going to a sharper edge. We're going to call that good enough for right now. I'm going to start putting the bevels on it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to taper that piece down. I'm going to taper it down both ways. I'm trying to leave the center the same thickness, the starting thickness. Alright, so there's one side. You got to keep it close to the edge, so I'm going to find a spot where I can reach it comfortably. But I don't like doing this, coming in that way. That's one heat. You can start to see, should be able to see the line there. You can see in the center where I haven't hit it, and it's still the original width. There, you can see it right there. But I'm just tapering them down, but I'm trying to leave the thickness in the center so that I don't have a weak spot where it goes from that holder into the rest of it, the handle part. Alright, looks like trail dust is out. Now I've seen another way of doing this too, where you flip it over, but this isn't the way the guy did it today, so I'm going to do it his way because that's what I watched today. I got to come way back here because I'm keeping the tongs off the anvil. You can see it's beveling to both sides. I don't know if you can see it. If I can get it right angle, maybe I'll go back here. You can see it's beveling to both sides, but this center part right here is still flat. And it's basically still the full thickness. So I got a little here to pull out. You know, because this looks good compared to that, that looks good compared to that. This part right here still needs some material pulled down. Okay, it looks like the trail dust is out. So I can't blame him. It's way past his bedtime. He's old as shit. Alright, I am gonna pull this out, work that one spot a little more. Alright, now I'm going to flatten it out, push it back in so that center spine is coming off where I want it. Going to hit it back here, right at the back a couple more times. Get it thinned down. Maybe right here. There, that looks alright. I'm not worried that it's not perfectly even, because after I fold it up, I'll just take it over to the grinder, and if you didn't have a grinder, you could easily file it. Let me clean the fire a little bit so we can go faster. I'm actually going to pull it right out. And go ahead and take a big scoop of clinker out. And there's my little snub scroll. Throw that clinker in there for now. Got a lot more. Push my coal back in. Let's get this bad boy rolling again. Alright, let's let that fire come back up. I'm on Minnesota time. Yeah, I don't know what time zone you guys are, so can't say nothing, I guess. Alright, I do need to, I just saw that it actually curves a little bit, and I gotta take the curve out before I go farther, so I'm gonna make that spine actually taper instead of being a parallel line. And that'll get rid of the curve. And I did find the piece of my penny scroll when I cleaned it out. I threw it up in there though. I have this habit of when I clean out clinker and stuff, I clean it out, I throw it right in the chimney. And then about once a year or once every other year, I clean the chimney out down here and just get rid of all that clinker. Alright, so I gotta go a little bit more off on that side. Yeah, now I got it a little better where I want it. So now, problem is that the soapstone is wider than 3/16 and thinner than quarter. So if I use the 3/16, then it ends up being a little too tight. Here, let me cut that air down for a second. Just throw a swage block up here. We're going to drive this down in. We're putting our flat side up. That was one of the other reasons that you want to try to keep that somewhat symmetrical, is because once you flip it over, you can't see the tapers that you put on it. So you want to keep that line where it's full thickness in the middle. So I'm going to heat it up. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to lay it on there the other way, like this, and drive it down in. All right. This one will go faster than the last one. Thank God. We're going to put it in there, lay it this way, drive it down. You're not going to be able to see because I'm in your way, I know, but it is what it is. Now you can see I've got a pretty good rib right in the bottom there. I'll take the block down. Heat it up. I'll probably go to that 1/4 inch one, make it a little bit loose, and then I can, after when it's cold, I'll just tweak it in just a little bit and make it fit. Last time I fiddled with it for way too long. Alright, so I'm going to put this here. Turn it. Hammer it down. Turn it. Hammer it down. Try to pick it up, make sure you got the cold side. Set it in there again. Sometimes you just, it's fiddly like that. Some of the stuff you got to do. Maybe if I take it over here and push it in that corner. The reason I'm hitting it so much on that side is because I know that side is shorter than the other side, and I'm trying to stretch it. This side isn't as tall as that side. Well, it's pretty close now. Alright, now I'll drop this in there, drive it down, hit it nice and flat. Okay, so now I got the end made. It's way uneven. That one's way lower than that one. But it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go over, I'm going to cool it, I'm going to go to the grinder, I'm going to fix it real quick, and then we're moving on. I'm just going to make them both the same height. If you don't have a grinder, a file would not be a big deal to file it. Alright, look, and now they're both the same height, both the same shape. Sometimes you just gotta go with it a little bit, but it is leaning off to the side a little bit, and I do have to fix that. So I have to put this back in. Maybe I'll put it in, clamp it in the vise, and then hammer along the back of the spine and straighten that out. Hammer the high side down a little bit. If I can get that up fast enough that I don't need tongs, that'll help a lot getting it in the vise. Kind of semi-sorta, but not enough. Alright, I just need to grab it from the end that's not hot. Hang on, I'm trying to think. How do I correct this? Put this in this way, not the other way. Hang it here. Clamp it down good and hard. And this is going to twist the handle, but not where I need it. That doesn't fix the problem that I'm having. Alright, we're moving on. I know it leans a little to one side, and thinking maybe, yeah, most of it's out now. So, alright, so we got our little piece. Our soapstone is going to sit in there. It fits. Pick that piece up and throw it up there so I'm not stepping on it. Alright, I think I want to cut it off about right there. I'm just eyeballing and guessing at this point. Or I might leave that on for a little while longer, and I'll bring some of it right down to the finished size. I think that'll work better. It'll be easier to get to than it was last time. Alright. This was last time I cut it off earlier. Alright, so let me draw out some material and size it up, and then we'll flip it around and cut a few inches off. So you see I drew some out, went over the corner of the anvil because that helps you draw it faster. I have a hard time and I struggle with it until I have a spot that's big enough to go across the anvil. But once I get it that far, it's easy to manipulate after that. So you see I'm drawing that material down and out. If you noticed, I tipped my hammer and drove the corner down in and made a bunch of deep notches and then went back, and by the time I flattened it back out, it was about time to reheat. I'll just do that and just bring the corner of my hammer in and draw like that a lot of times. Just don't let the Brazil nuts know, because they'll think I stole their stuff. I'll just keep working it and bringing it down until it's about 1/4 inch square. Maybe a little less, and then I'll move up and do some more. But I do want to stop because I don't want to go all the way to the penny scroll like that, because it'll be too thin to work the scroll, and it'll want to keep moving in behind it, or I don't want it to move. Alright, you can see I'm bringing it down, and it's pretty smooth. It's not too many lumps and bumps in it. I'm going to pinch off another piece and work some more. And then I'll probably cut it after that. So yeah, this isn't the most exciting project tonight. And it's the one end that captures the thing, that's the fiddly bits that I spent way too much time messing with. So I'm heating it up farther back in the bar. I got 0.03 drop frames. So that was definitely, I was hooked to the wrong router. Alright, now I'm going to pinch off about a hammer's width. Work that down. You can see I pinched off. Gotta turn it. Hopefully you guys can see the dents I'm putting in. So I already started cleaning it up a little bit, but you can see it's full of dents from me driving that corner in, trying to draw that material out. Using the corner of that hammer as a fuller. Just like you would if you used a straight peen. If you're tipping that way, or if you're tipping this way or this way, it'd be like using your cross peen. I used a straight peen for a real long time. Kind of got used to it, and then I went to cross peens. I don't know. It just seems like you never have the right one. I thought about the double diagonal peen, but the problem with that is then you don't have a flat one to flatten it back out after you put all the fuller marks in it. So, all right. Alright, you can see I got a bunch. So now I'm going to come back. I'm going to cut it right about, maybe an inch past there. First I'm going to put my convenience bend on the other end, so I can grab it from the other end with the tongs. And all I'm doing is bending the little slot that the stuff sits in out of the way. Then I'll straighten it back up and put it back over where it belongs later. And that's just called a convenience bend. You're bending it out of there, out of the way, to make it convenient to grab somewhere else. And that's all that is. Just bend it out of the way, and now I can grab in here with my tongs, and that's out of the way. So I'll heat up down there. We'll get it cut off. We'll make our little penny for the penny scroll. I think that I want the sharper edge, so I'm going to spin this around. So Jeff, what have you been up to lately? What's your latest project? If anybody's still in here. Cut almost all the way through, then just grab it and break it off. That way you're not running your hammer into your top step. Alright, let me heat the end up. We'll start forming our penny. Once again, I'm just guessing about how much material I'll need at each step of the way. So sometimes I'll end up with too much, sometimes not enough. Spin me around, right round, baby, right around. Yeah, okay. All right, so I want to flatten that off first. Well, I got a nice edge that I can put up against the corner of the anvil. Looks good. I want to pinch off most of what I left. So you can see I blunted the end out, and then I put another step in it, because I left myself a little more material so that I can get some more length out of it, and probably a little more than I need for the penny. "13 hours straight." Must be one hot Russian chick. You can see now I brought it down I'm going to look, I'm going to see, I'm still quite a bit short, but this is still pretty big all the way through there. But we'll work on getting that scroll established before we knock down that size too far, or else it'll bend in behind there while you're trying to work the scroll in. And this was supposed to be a real easy project, until I had to modify it and play with it, change the design, and here we are. All right. So we're starting to get the penny. Got a little bit of work to do on it, pushing it in basically too long diagonally from one corner to the other. I'm going to throw that wrong tool in because I can't find my right one. That'll help me fix that by trapping it and allowing me to hit where I need to. So you trap it here and come way in here. Alright, so we got our penny out on the end. We're going to go back, going to take that long piece and make it smaller. It's like 1/4 inch square. I want it down like 3/16. So we're just going to keep working sections. And I got to put a 1/4 twist in it to put the penny in the right orientation to the slot, and I want to do that early on, like now, before I get too much bolt removed, so that I can make that disappear. So you can see I put a twist right there, but when I get done, you won't even see that. That'll be gone. It's almost already gone and I've hardly even touched it. Well, does that mean you're going to fall asleep on me too? I mean, I try to keep talking, keep these guys entertained. Alright, time to make this smaller. When I say I'm making it smaller, remember, I'm only making it maybe a little bit around 1/16 of an inch smaller, which is why I'm banging flats and not digging the corner in and trying to draw it out or anything. I'm just making this nice and flat, straight, and trying to keep it even. The more even it is, the easier it'll bend later on when you go to bend it around and make the handle and stuff. It'll go faster once I get a part started down this size. Anybody see what time it is? I don't want to click off the screen. There, now I'm starting to get down to the size that I want. Starting to stretch. I think I'm going to be good with what I got. So, 943. First. Now, if I don't mess up, I don't have too much left of this. But remember last time I was just past this when I burned it up. It was when Jeff Killian popped in and I looked up there and tried to see back through the comments when he came in because I missed it and ended up burning the piece up. Yeah, yesterday it was like 70 degrees out. This morning I got up, it was snowing. I kind of put a little shoulder there. I don't know if you can see it right there. You can see how much I'm actually reducing the size there. I'm just going down maybe less than a 16th, but it's actually going to stretch probably a good 2 inches by the time I'm done. And I'm just getting it even. From one end to the other, even, because the more even it is, the easier it's going to bend when you try to make bends. Just taking little chomps off. I'm going to flip it end to end so that I can get it down in the fire better. Hopefully without burning it off. What did she say? I don't know. Sometimes it's delayed, so I don't remember what I said that you're replying, and that's what she said too. All right. Pretty close to my 12 inches. By the time I knock the corners off all this square, which is what I was doing last time when I burned it up, I was right here. I was knocking the corners off the square. Unfortunately, when I do this, I can't bring it up to a real hot heat because I can't see it. So I struggle to do this finer work because my eyesight. So I got from there to there done. Now take another heat, work further up the bar. And I don't know how this is going to look because that penny screw looks like it's a little big for what it's going to be and where it's got to go. But we'll keep going, see what happens. I mean, one way or another, it'll still be functional. Just might not be as aesthetically pleasing. Alright, so we're from there to there, we got that much left. By the time I get that done, I guarantee you I'll have my 12 inches. All right, Jeff. Yeah, I'm back now to where it was when you walked in, and I looked up and I was paying attention, trying to read back through the chat to see when you came in, and wasn't paying enough attention to my piece. So I'm just basically knocking this into 8-sided, but it's not super smooth 8-sided. It almost looks round because it's so small. Okay, we are officially farther than we were last time. All right. So let's think about this. I need the length of my soapstone and the holder all the way back before I can start making the curve, so the soapstone fits all the way in. So I think what I need to do is straighten out the end, get rid of my convenience pen, fire really needs to be cleaned out, but I'm almost done, so I'm not gonna. Alright, I'm gonna clamp this quick, straighten that out. I don't want to clamp it too tight and crush it. What I was doing is straightening that nice and straight along the spine. And this way straight. And trying to get that nice and straight up at the end. That looks pretty good. So now I can't start my bend until at least in here. Oh look, nice soapstone. Till at least there. Now, if I set that edge there, that line is even with my that side of my anvil. That's what I need to leave there, is about perfectly this. So what I'll do is I'll go here, then I'll go over here, and I'll start bending. And I'll use that as a gauge. And I may be messing up by doing this side first. And he brought a jig for everybody to use, and they just put it in and took pliers and pulled it up against the jig, and it was done. Not saying it's wrong, it's definitely not wrong, it's just not the way I'm going to do it. Just keeping this spine straight. Now I'm going to heat it up again. Well, I got that nice bend on it, so it goes down in the fire, and I can heat it up pretty quick. Okay, now I'm going to stop there, and before I take that down, I got to twist that penny scroll over and kind of scroll it up. What was the point of making the penny if you don't have a little scroll there leading into it? Because I can always close this loop up on the other end and make it much smaller and move that piece out more forward if I need to get the length I need. So I'm going to orient it. That looks good. Set that there. Drop this in. Hopefully it's not in the way, then I can use that to get this started. Yeah, that don't look right. Might have to clamp it in the vise and use that way. I gotta pull that up against the penny to make it look right. That's kind of weird looking because that penny isn't right where it belongs. I have to straighten it out, make that end, and then round it in. I don't know. No, that's not right. It's way not right. It's the wrong way. For starters. Alright. Let me work that and get it to where it's supposed to be so that it looks right and it's not all wonky. First thing you gotta do is spin it to the outside, not the inside. Take some out of it. I never liked these penny scrolls. They're so hard to get them to look right. Alright, so I got a little bit of a penny scroll there. It's not the greatest. But it is what it is. more tired I get, the more mistakes I'm going to make. What I did was I made that a lot smoother, or a lot smaller. Pushed more material that way, so that now I can go out to the other end. Play around with it out there a little bit more. Then go get a good piece of soapstone that's not broken. All right, let me. Oh, that was a mistake. Sometimes I'll just grab like a pair of flat jaw tongs. If I get too much kink in something, I'll just squeeze it with some flat jaw tongs and it'll straighten it back out a little bit. Now all I'm doing is just lining it up. It's pretty much done. I don't like it. Penny scroll should have been about half the size it was to look great. Alright, let me heat this up. Now it should only hit the soapstone where it's in the channel. You don't want it to hit all the way along the spine or all the way along the top. Which is why you got to make sure that that spine stays pretty straight. I want a little bend right there, so I'm going to heat that up. Just, I'm not even going to hit it with the hammer. I'm going to do it with scrolling tongs. I've got a really dirty fire and it's taking forever to heat up, and so I'm pulling it early and playing with it. So I got just a pair of scrolling tongs. Well, let me go in. Just flatten everything out. Straight. Oh, outside. Again. As long as you get it close, a lot of this fiddly adjusting stuff you can do cold. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cool this in the water and then check the fit. So you can see I got the little scroll on there. It's nothing super fancy. It's too tight. I can just pull it out a little bit. Okay, I'm too tight in that slot a little bit, so I have to find a piece that I can put in there that's narrower than that. I think I have a piece of 1/4 by 1/2 up here. On my rack. Might fit in there all right. Alright, I got a piece of 1/4 by 1/2. Let me just chop a piece of this off real quick. Alright. I'm going to just taper this a little bit. So that I can drive it in. Where did I put it? Right here. So hopefully I can get this in there. Let me double check, see if that was enough. It was kind of enough, but I need to bend that way a little bit. I'll have to open it up a little bit. Yeah, the back is still catching. So this has got to go in further. to fix this. I got to support, I got to drive that in there, but without messing this up. So, I guess what I need to do is be able to support it here and here, but that's in the way. So, I'll just take two pieces. Just thinking out loud, guys. You may or may never run into a situation like this. Especially making yours. Okay, where did I put it? Yeah, that will allow me to hold that there and drag this onto it. I did not. Let me try flipping it. Kind of tipped it to one side. See what I got now. No, that's not doing what I need it to. I'm going to have to figure this one out, how I can get in there. I may have to straighten this back out, fix this end, and then bring it back around again. But I'm not going to make these guys watch all that, because I think I'm just going to have to straighten this all back out, fix this end that I should have fixed a long time ago when I said it was leaning off to one side a little bit, and I didn't fix it. And then just bend it back around, but it'll still look exactly like this, but the soapstone will fit better. And in the future, I probably won't use that same method where I put the two tapers on and left that spine the same thickness. I'll do it a different way, because that's really kind of what's messing with me. I mean, or I could just run a file, bend this out a little bit, wrap it in the vise, file it. To fix that corner. Maybe I'll try that real quick, but if it doesn't work, call it a night, and I don't care. This should be pretty close to, yeah, the thickness of that soapstone. Alright. Because what it is right in the very bottom. It's like, instead of going down, being flat, coming back up. Yeah, I need a file to fix it. And then after I file it, I'm going to push that right back down, and that would be it. I'm going to let you guys go for now. Have a good night, guys. Do something. Get out in your forge. Make something. Doesn't matter how big, how small.